is an initiative of the IOD Nigeria. IOD is the Institute of Directors Nigeria, to engage with young people to groom keen knowledge seekers who are interested in taking advantage of the IOD Nigeria to build their capacity in the corporate governance skills, practices, as well as taking advantage of access to free mentorship services. And this is one of such networking and knowledge sharing sessions today. The focus today is financing micro and small businesses. And we have an amazing set of faculty that will be providing insights for us today. The special guest of honor for today is Mr. Segun Akintemi, who I would introduce later on. Our guest speaker for today is Mrs. Kehinde Wole Olomojobi. In some circles, we call her KWO. And of course, the host for today is Dr. Adeyinka Hassan, FIOD. When you see FIOD, it means Fellow of the Institute of Directors, who's the chairman of Young Directors Forum, steering committee putting this together. And of course, our chief host is our president, my president, Chief Chris O. Okunowo, FIOD as well, the president and chairman of the Governing Council of IOD Nigeria. To begin on the right note, I would like to call for the national anthem as we start this session today.
IT, national anthem, please.
We are waiting for the national anthem and we will be with you shortly. We have to begin on the right note with the national anthem, acknowledging our country and our allegiance to the country.
To serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Hello. Okay. Mr. Salami,
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead. Go ahead. National anthem has been
The
played.
president is here now. Good afternoon,
Yes.
sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
okay.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, I didn't hear it, please. But it's okay. So welcome back, everyone. It's good to have everyone here. I'm super excited that we're doing this once again in the month of June. And I would like to especially welcome the president who has joined us. You're welcome, sir, Mr. President. It's always a joy to have you on these sessions, to also hear from you as you inspire us as always. And I'd also like to recognize the presence of the chairman steering committee of the YDF. That is the person of Dr. Adeyinka Hassan. You're welcome, sir. Hello, Dr. Hassan. Let us hear your voice. You're welcome, sir.
Yes. Thank you very
Okay.
much, sir.
Okay,
My
great.
pleasure.
Great. I will also like to recognize the presence of the special guest of honor for today, Mr. Shegun Akintemi. You're welcome, sir.
But thank you very much.
Okay. I will also like to recognize the presence of our guest speaker, Mrs. Kende Wole Olomojobi.
Good afternoon, all. It's a pleasure being here.
Okay, good afternoon. I also like to recognize the presence of Mrs. Sarah Shoson, Her Excellency, Deputy Governor of Lagos State. You're welcome, ma. And I'd like to welcome all council members of IUD on the call. You're welcome to the event today as well. So right about now, I'd like to welcome for his welcome remarks. That's the chairman of the YDF steering committee. YDF is the Young Directors Forum. I'd like to welcome him for his opening remarks. And I'd just like to share a bit about him so that we know who he is. Dr. Hassan is a lawyer, a chartered secretary and administrator, a corporate governance consultant, and an entrepreneur. He is a certified trainer by the International Finance Corporation and Center for International Private Enterprise. Dr. Hassan's work experience lies largely in the financial services industry, where he has held senior positions providing support to various organizations in law, business, and management. Having previously been the company secretary and legal advisor of a quoted bank, he has been involved in negotiating complex commercial transactions and structured financing. He has handled various advisory services spanning capital market, financial reporting, corporate governance, corporate structuring and innovation, and organizational change management. He has made remarkable contributions to the study of corporate governance with his various research works recognized in local and international journals. He is a member of various professional bodies, notably the Institute of Directors Nigeria, the Nigerian Bar Association, the International Bar Association, Capital Market Solicitors Association, the Society for Corporate Governance Nigeria, the Association for Corporate Governance Professionals, Institutes of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, as well as being a fellow of the following bodies. That is the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria and the Chartered Institute of Administration of Nigeria. He is currently the founder and principal consultant at H. Michael Consulting. He consults in corporate governance, law, and management for both private and public quoted companies, as well as being a director and secretary to company boards. He is married with children. Ladies and gentlemen, for his opening remarks, please welcome with me Dr. Adeyinka Hassan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abiola Salami. I have the president here, and ideally the president should give a welcome address. So I would like to bow to allow my president to give the welcome address, and then I will speak. Thank you very much.
Okay, that is all right. That is all right. So moving right along, people, to introduce the president. It always takes, a lot of excitement for me to introduce the president anytime we're in this forum. And that's because it's a consummate professional, a mentor to many of us, and someone who doesn't just bear the name of leadership, whose conduct, consistent conduct over time shows who a leader should be. And so I will just give a brief profile of the president for him to give us, before he gives his welcome address. Our president is Chief Chris Olufunmilola Okunawo, FIOD. He was born on the 7th of December, 1947 into the great Okunawa dynasty of Ijebuland. He attended Christ Church Cathedral School, Lagos, from where he obtained his first school leaving certificate in 1961. He proceeded to the renowned Igbobi College, Yaba, Lagos, where he obtained his West African School certificate and higher school certificate in 1966 and 1968, respectively. He graduated from the University of Lagos, Akoka in 1972 with a Bachelor's of Law degree and was called to the bar in June 1973. That is the Nigerian bar. He joined the Federal Civil Service in July of 1973 and was posted to the Federal Ministry of Trade and remained there till 1977, rising to the Senior Assistant Registrar, Companies Registry, which is now called Corporate Affairs Commission, at 6-story building, Oil Mill Street in Lagos. In July of 1977, he found Chris O. Okunowa & Co., a boutique firm of legal and insolvency practitioners and arbitrators, where he has been its principal partner till date. In service to community, he has been recognized with a few traditional titles, including Akwajo of Awo-Ekiti in 1986 and Otumbade of Kemta, Abeokuta, and Bamolu of Egbaland, both in 1989. In 1990, he was honored with the title of Bobashua II of Ijebu, a hereditary traditional title conferred by Alayelua Oba Dr. S.K. Adetono, CFR JP, who is the Awujale and paramount ruler of Ijebu land. He was conferred this title for his contributions to the social and economic growth of Nigeria, his love and personal esteem for the Ijebu traditional institution, and enormous contribution in the struggle for the preservation of our cultural heritage.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Oh, okay, because I couldn't hear anybody.
Okay, we can hear you clearly, sir.
Is
I think
Salami
the
finished?
speaker is off.
Okay, is Salami done?
Yes, sir.
It's done now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I guess that leaves me to make a small remark. Hello? Sunday,
Sir,
are you
Go
there?
ahead, sir. We can hear you.
we can
We
hear
can
you,
hear
sir.
you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, members of the Governing Council and the Executive Committee of the IOD Nigeria, the special guest of honor, our very distinguished guest speaker, chairman and members of the steering committee of the Young Directors Forum, fellows and members of the Institute of Directors, members of our Young Directors Forum, our very much valued guests, associates and sponsors, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Governing Council of the Institute of Directors and the chairman and members of the Young Directors Forum Steering Committee, I welcome you to the second edition of our network and knowledge sharing session of the Young Directors Forum of the Institute of Directors Nigeria, with the theme Financial and Small Businesses. I wish to welcome all other eminent personalities and guests, associates and friends of our members at the Young Directors Forum present at this ceremony. I appreciate you all for being part of this great event. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to know that the Young Directors Forum, YDF, which was created by the Institute of Directors Nigeria to serve as a network of young, talented and upcoming board leaders who currently serve as executive or non-executive directors in small and big firms across all sectors of the Nigerian economy. It is a platform for young leaders who are interested in taking advantage of IOD Nigeria's platform to be groomed to become versatile, competent, and effective directors, through well thought out capacity development initiatives and mentoring programs of the Institute. This forum is one of the ways which IOD Nigeria gives back to the society, especially the future generation of major players in the business community who are in their need of requisite knowledge and support on practical exposure to the issues of governance and leadership. Therefore, by belonging to this elite group of young directors forum, these young directors are able to assess knowledge, skills, and requisite capacity in corporate governance practices, as well as access to free mentorship, while creating strong peer networks that will add value in the course of discharging their roles and responsibilities as directors. In the light of the foregoing, we have deemed it necessary to bring together knowledgeable and experienced personalities to deal with this theme of this event, financing micro and small businesses. These two distinguished personalities, are Segun Akitemi, the CEO of Page Financial Services, who is a special guest of honor, and Mrs. Kehinde Wole Olomojobi, the ED and CEO of Cypress Leasing and Investment, as the guest speaker. I welcome and thank you both for honoring our invitation. The theme of this event has been well crafted to also take into consideration the impact of the COVID pandemic on small businesses, as we as an institute have continued to work with policymakers to adapt policies and institutions to enable small businesses to make greater contribution to post-pandemic economic revival. As we know, MSMEs constitute the backbone of our economy, accounting for 2/3 of employment and between 80 to 90% of employment. Unfortunately, this segment of the Nigerian business space has been disproportionately affected by pandemic-related shocks. They are overrepresented in non-essential services sectors, hardest hit by confinement measures. Many MSMEs have suffered huge revenue losses, while others have simply shut down completely. However, the good news is that their smaller number allows them to be flexible and adapt to new environments, such as the one created by COVID-19. Not only can they help overcome previous constraints related to lack of productive capacities and economic diversification, but also enhance a strong and sustainable recovery. The least we can do, therefore, is to support these businesses, both old and new ones, to grow and be sustainable. This explains the reason we have invited the guest speaker to share her views and thoughts on the theme for the benefit of all and for us as businesses and our businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to note that IOD Nigeria was established about 37 years ago by a crop of very dedicated and highly responsible citizens who consider that for our businesses to thrive and for the Nigerian economy to grow and prosper, Nigeria's companies must imbibe the culture of good corporate governance as is known and practiced in developed economies. Like many other professional and membership organizations around the country, IOD Nigeria is operating in a rapidly evolving and increasingly complex and challenging business environment. Over the past few years, the world has witnessed massive shifts in the global economy. It's a growing transition towards knowledge and service-based industry sectors amid increasingly economic and workforce competitions and natural disasters, thereby placing new challenges and expectations on individuals, businesses, and nations. As a result, the Governing Council of our great institute has in the past few years worked to reposition the institute to address emerging challenges and engender greater impact in the fulfillment of its vision and mission. As part of our efforts towards realizing this objective, the Governing Council has gone ahead to approve a new vision and mission and a set of core values, as well as a 5-year strategic plan for the Institute. In order to reposition its members and staff to champion issues of ethics, the Institute launched its new Code of Ethics in August 2020. The code is an important tool to guide members and staff of the Institute on matters of ethics and professionalism. I therefore urge you all our members to continue to uphold our good corporate governance principles and be guided by the ethics code of the Institute at all levels, in workplaces and in business affairs. I'm glad to inform you that the Institute has a well-established center for corporate governance in which key Nigerian regulations, SEC and CAC, are partners. As a result of the confidence reposed in the Institute as a frontline professional body, the federal government of Nigeria has listed the Institute as one of the professional organizations whose members are registrable with the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, FRCA. It is also important to note that despite the COVID challenges, IOD Nigeria has continued to demonstrate greater concern and commitment to work with all stakeholders in order to engender a business-friendly environment for a robust economic growth and sustainability. More importantly, we have continued to uncover for good corporate governance in all private and public sector organizations in the country, and will continue to partner with all businesses and thought leaders from both the public and private sectors to push forward innovative ideas for our collective benefit. I charge you all, including members of our Young Directors Forum, to appreciate the privilege of your status in the Institute and remain steadfast and focused on your support for IOD Nigeria for its positive growth and development. Our Institute will continue to demonstrate greater concern for our young directors and commitment to the governance of all Nigeria's private and public sector organizations, and welcome any new ideas and input by all members towards the achievement of the Institute's vision. Finally, I will just express my special gratitude to all the past presidents of our Institute, the members of the governing board, our governing council and executive committee for your stirring efforts and commitments. I also wish to thank the chairman, Dr. Adeyinka Hassan, FIOD, and members of the Young Directors Forum Steering Committee, as well as management and staff of the Secretariat for making this second edition of the network and knowledge sharing session of the Young Directors Forum a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'd like to implore you to keep safe. The COVID-19 pandemic is not over yet, and we need to try to stay alive. Please try and keep yourselves safe at all times. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I thank you all for your attention. I wish you a very successful and very memorable event. I must also mention that this forum is not going to be limited to just Lagos or indeed Abuja. As I speak with you today, I'm in Abeokuta branch of the IOD as we are trying to reinvigorate that branch, that zonal office, to meet the challenges of the future. So if you do have your friends anywhere around the country, particularly in Abuja, Abeokuta, or Port Harcourt, please make contact with them and let them link up with the Young Directors Forum. It's going to become, I believe, it's going to become our engine of growth in the years ahead. So I implore you once again, link up with the steering committee and bring your friends along to benefit from the knowledge sharing that we're going to experience this afternoon. On that note, I thank you once again, and I wish you Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. President. You know, as a key practitioner of emotional intelligence, I learned that empathy is a big thing. And from the speech the president just delivered, it shows empathy, it shows oratory, it shows that the IOD and the president and the member of council, they really truly care about young people and to help young directors, to equip them and to help them to grow steadily. You know, I read a quote some time ago by Isaac Newton that said that, he said, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulder of giants. And I just want to say thank you to the president and to the IOD for providing young directors a shoulder to stand on so that young directors can see further. Now, immediately, we are moving to the welcome speech by the chairman of the steering committee of YDF, the Young Directors Forum. That is Mr. Adeyinka Hassan, who I've already introduced earlier. So I'll just like to call him up right now for his own welcome speech.
Thank you very much, Abiola Cham. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to first and foremost appreciate the chairman of the Council of the Institute of Directors, who is also the president of the Institute. It's quite an emotional moment for me because I know that he has been very, very awesomely supportive of the Young Directors Forum. And this is perhaps the last NKSS session we are going to have until he moves on because he's completed his tenure as the president of the Institute. I want to personally appreciate him for all his support over time regarding all our programs. From time to time, he nurtures me. From time to time, he calls me to know what we are doing. And let me also announce to everybody that Young Directors Forum of YDF is actually an initiative of the Council of IOD, which is part of the change and innovation that IOD is bringing on board. The president had said it all. It's an opportunity to improve, develop skills for young directors who are managing mostly small and medium businesses, which we all know and agree that are the drivers of the economy of the nation. So by developing skills in them, of course, it dovetails to also assisting and developing the young businesses in the economy, who we have all agreed are the drivers of the economy. So on this note, I'd like to really appreciate the president of IOD and the entire council. Secondly, I also like to appreciate the speaker of today, that is Mr. Segun Akintemi. On a click, I called him and told him I wanted him to be part of this program. He didn't even think twice before he agreed with me. And it was timely because Mr. Akintemi is a renowned financial person. And immediately I looked at the topic, I thought he was the right person to invite for this program. And he didn't hesitate. Same goes for Mrs. Kehinde Olomojobi as well. We really appreciate you. In time past, we've had programs that touched on other areas. We've looked at retailing businesses in challenging times. We decided that since financing is part of what actually drives businesses, then before we can say we want to develop skills in director or young directors, then we also need to assist them to fix what their financing challenges are, which is what brought about this topic. I also like to appreciate the support of the members of the Secretariat of IOD, led by the DG of the Institute. You know, over time, there had been challenges before we now got to a level where we are cruising and all our programs are well organized. I appreciate you, DG. I appreciate also Mr. Adenipekun, who is also supporting the DG. And then last but not the least is the members of the YDF committee. Like Yoruba people will say, one person cannot come and say, we have come. So I couldn't have done it alone, and I cannot possibly come alone. So I'm coming with my entire team. Over the years, they've really been very supportive. At odd hours, we talk from time to time. At very short notices, we hold our meetings to be able to make decisions. I'm sure we all agree that there are a lot of effort that has gone into this program before we are able to come out and do this today. Thank you, everyone. And for the participants who are also joining, I will encourage you to actually not just attend our programs, but also register to be members of the Young Directors Forum. Some of us who are here today, who have already registered as members, I'm sure we would have gotten your letter notifying you of the necessary procedures to follow. Thank you, everyone, as we proceed to the program this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, the Chairman, Steering Committee, Young Directors Forum. And just immediately taking it from him about those who want to be members. And you can just type in, I want to be a member of YDF with your name, your email, and your phone number right into the chat room right now. So I'm waiting to see you type, I want to be a member of YDF. Type in, I want to be a member of YDF, and include your name, your email address, and phone number, and definitely we will reach out to you. I just want to say that it shouldn't be if you want to join, it is you need to join. If you are a young person on this call and you are not a member of the IOD, please send you want to join. Send I want to be a member of YDF. Also, let me say, even if you are not a young person and you're on this call and you're not a member of YDF, and you're not a member of the IOD, I beg your pardon, and you're not a member of the IOD, please also write there that I want to be a member of IOD, now not YDF, that I want to be a member of IOD. Leave your name, your email address, and your phone number, and we will have you on board with us. We want to say special thank you to Zenith Bank for sponsoring this event this afternoon. Thank you, Zenith Bank as sponsor. It's a great bank, it's a good bank. And incidentally, I was discussing with Mr. Adinukwe earlier on today that I commenced the banking relationship with Zenith Bank recently, and it's been totally awesome. So thank you, Zenith Bank, for sponsoring this. Thank you for being a great bank. So right along, hearing from the special guest of honor today, remarks from the special guest of honor for today, that is Mr. Segun Akintemi, the CEO, Page Financial Services Limited. But before I call him up, let me say a few things about Mr. Segun Akintemi, our special guest of honor. Please, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Please keep it coming. Keep it coming. I want to join YDF. I want to join IOD with your names, your phone numbers, and your email addresses. Thank you. Keep it coming. So, Mr. Segun Akintemi has made a remarkable impact in the fintech ecosystem in Nigeria, and he has led by example in all he has done. He holds a first degree in computer science from the University of Lagos and an MBA from the prestigious Lagos Business School. He is an alumnus of INSEAD Business School in France, Wharton Business School, the University of Pennsylvania, and he has attended several senior management courses. He is a member of the Institute of Directors and an honorary senior member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers. He is exemplary leadership and business process and transformation skills employed at Sky Bank PLC with over 250 branches across Nigeria. That clearly sets him up for excellence in service discharge and leadership. He was at various times responsible for the bank's business across West Africa, and through utter determination and unabashed interest in fintech, he particularly positioned the bank as one of the most technologically advanced financial institutions in the country. He was a director on the board of Law Union and Rock and is presently a member of the board of IHS Towers, the largest tower company in Nigeria. As part of the founding team at Rent Money Microfinance Bank, he provided strategic leadership and direction at startup, which led to its evolution as one of the leading consumer finance institutions in the country. Mr. Segun Akintemi has over 30 years experience in the banking and financial services industry, of which 15 years were spent, I beg your pardon, in senior management and executive positions. He is currently the CEO of Page International Financial Services Limited. Mr. Segun Akintemi has proved himself as an effective administrator, inspiring motivator, and an intelligent leader. He gets a job done without any obstruction, and he does it efficiently. He communicates well and has creative ideas, which is able to see through to completion. He certainly has a set of fine examples of reliability, dependability, and commitment. Without question, he is a most deserving recipient of the Best Finance CEO of All Time Awards. Present to you our special guest of honor, Mr. Segun Akintemi.
Thank you very much, sir. And at the point, I was wondering if you were actually referring to me. And thank you very, very much, Mr. Salami.
You're welcome.
I'd want to say a big thank you to everyone listening. And first, thank you to the President and the Chairman of Council, Chief Chris Okunowo, and the Chairman of the committee, Dr. Yinka Hassan, Mr. Sunday Adenipekun, and of course, members of YDF, and also my co-speaker. I have a presentation. I didn't realize it would be a speech. I have a 12 because I've learned to always be prepared. I wasn't in Boy Scout, but I learned to always be prepared. I have a 13 slide presentation, which I'd sent to the Secretariat. I don't know if they can put it up, but if they don't, I will just pick through it. And I'm sure the Secretariat can ensure that it gets to everybody. And it's just talking about financing micro and small businesses. I've spent the last 32 years in the financial services sector, and with more emphasis in banking for about 22 years, and the last 10 years on financing SMEs and largely salary earners, basically consumer finance. So whatever I'm presenting is actually based on these factors. My presentation is in two parts, and I'll try and hit it within the next 15 minutes. One part addresses financing in micro and small businesses, and the other part actually talks about building an enduring organization. First, I would want to start by saying that today you have, just to provide a bit of insight on the MSME sector, you have about 42 million micro enterprises, about 73,000 SMEs in Nigeria. And the MSMEs actually account for about 96% of the total number of businesses that you actually have in Nigeria. And they actually contributed about 50% of the national GDP in the last 5 years. So this underscores the critical importance of the MSMEs. And additionally, they actually employ about 76% of the Nigerian workforce. So that tells you that you cannot succeed in any form of business without reference to the MSMEs. Now, the MSMEs, based on the survey by PwC sometime last year, the survey revealed that MSMEs experience a lot of various type of problems with lending institutions. Now, I'll give you this data. 50% of the MSMEs say that they applied for loans but were refused but they refused to take the money because the cost was too high. About 30% said they applied, but they were rejected. About 10% said they applied and got what they wanted. And another 10% said they applied, but only got a part of what they wanted. So this now leads me to the challenges that MSMEs have in actually raising funds. Now, the uncertainty and the high risk associated with lending to small businesses makes it very difficult for small business owners to actually secure funding through the formal lending institution. And if you ask, there was a survey we did some 9 years ago, which relatively will still be apt today. We put about 70 people in a room and we asked one question. And the question was, what would you, where would you go when you need money? And we asked these people, the 70 people were young, old, lawyers, doctors, bankers, oil and gas majors, people from diverse roles, and even SMEs. And we asked just that one question: where would you go if you need money? The results came back, and 67 of them said they will go to their father, their mother, their uncle, their auntie, their relatives. But only 3 of them said they will go to a financial institution. So this clearly told me that, look, there is so much that we need to do, particularly in the financial services sector. I'm on slide 6, so you can move to slide 6. Now, taking you through the challenges, the first one is the fact that a lot of times SMEs don't even have a consistent cash flow. So what happens is that financial institutions tend to favor SMEs that can actually showcase a consistent track of funding, because those days are gone. And I'll say it again, those days are gone where financial institutions invest in security lending. Security lending meaning taking a transaction and saying, okay, irrespective of what the transaction is, you first say, bring your house, bring a car, and bring all those silly things, but without understanding the fundamentals of the transaction. So we need to actually understand how to develop consistent cash flow. So your business must be consistent, and even where it spirals out of control, there must be a pattern that we can derive as a financial institution in analyzing it. Now, the second is debt to income ratio. Banks and financial institutions are always very wary to lending to businesses that have huge existing debts, because a lot of times what we do is that we build our businesses and they become way bigger than the capacity to pay. So your debt to income ratio is something you should know yourself, and you actually have to define it such that you draw the line and say that anything I'm taking beyond this point would definitely not be a debt. You have to define where equity will have to come in, which would definitely work out cheaper. The third thing is insufficient collateral. Where you have to collateralize, it's always a major issue for MSMEs to actually get collateral. So that again is an issue. Customer concentration. Financial institutions are often skeptical of businesses that report a significant bulk of their sales from just a few customers. Again, this leads to a lot of customer concentration. And if anything happens to that customer, you're in trouble. So that also is one area we also would look at. Then the fifth one is the poor zero or poor credit history. Now, whether you like it or not, your ability to borrow and pay back improves the integrity and the propensity for anybody to lend you money subsequently. A lot of you would say, oh, I'll never borrow to do my business. But meanwhile, I tell you proudly, even the business I'm doing today, I am heavily borrowing. But the truth is, you have to have that integrity to ensure you pay back. So you need to actually develop that culture of borrowing and paying back, such that your system and your cash flow, particularly over time, would be able to support the business. The sixth point is poor management and governance structure. I'm very glad the president actually mentioned and underscored the issue of corporate governance. Governance is extremely important. Whether it's a one-man business or a 3-man or a 5-man or a 500-man, you have to have governance. And once you have that culture in you, it makes it easy. So a lot of MSMEs say, I ask them sometimes, I say, okay, you are the CEO, where's your salary? And they say, no, they don't have salary, they just draw. And I said, that is not a way to run an organization. So you have to have a structure. Then the seventh thing is insufficient operating history. A lot of us do businesses for 5 months, for 6 months, and we say we are very comfortable and we understand the business. But a lot of times we haven't even gone through cycles of distress. So some of us say we are finance experts. And I ask them, I say, how many cycles of distress have you gone through in this financial services sector? In the last 30 years, we've had like 6 major financial downturns, which actually almost, of course, grounded a lot of financial institutions. Actually, people lost their lives in the process. So if you don't understand the pattern and the history behind the business, you cannot understand how to actually drive growth with the business. So it's important that you have sustained level of profitability and also by that build credibility. The 8th point is proper bookkeeping. A lot of times, a lot of us don't pay attention to actually documentation, which is extremely important. We must ensure that we have our books well kept. We don't need to get a PwC or a Deloitte or any of these big accounting firms to come and audit us. There are also similarly friends like you that you have that are actually that could go through your account, but even document properly, and it's very, very important. I'll move quickly to the next slide, which talks about the alternative financing options. And I put 4 options there. You could actually get what I call strategic partner financing. And it could be another player in your industry who can actually fund growth in exchange for your products and services, or for your staff, or for distribution rights, or for even sale and or a combination of all these things. So a startup logistics firm, for instance, can strategically partner with a chain store or eatery for financing while it's also offering its services. We don't have a lot of that in this country. And that is one thing you must start looking at now. And it's important because you do a whole lot. Then the second is invoice financing. I'm sure invoice financing is something we all do. But again, we need to also look at it and say, who are the people we're even dealing with, such that their invoices are decent enough for me to actually discount. And this way, your business has the cash flow it needs to keep running while you are waiting for the customers to pay for the outstanding invoices. So you have your engine is being oiled permanently. Then the third is what we call angel investor or venture capital. Now, I will say this, but say this very cautiously. MSMEs who are so convinced about the future of their businesses, they can actually pitch to some of these angel investors who are willing to invest in the business for equity participation. But I want to caution and advise and appeal that we look into this very well. There are always some what I will call very deadly small prints and a lot of banana peels when you are going into a venture capital. So you have to look into the terms very well. And a lot of you, quite a few of you are probably entrepreneurs. So you have a passion for your business. You won't want someone to wake up one day and kick you out. And that's a high possibility. So you have to be very, very careful with this. Then, of course, the fourth option is to partner with Page Financials. And I'm sure we'll be willing to support you. So let me take you to the next stage, which is actually building an enduring organization. And this is very important. I have like a small pyramid there, and it's the critical success factors for building an enduring organization. First is you have to be clear about what your business objectives are. So what are you trying to achieve? When I talk to my colleagues, the first thing when they come to me, you have to first state what is your objective? What do you want to achieve? So your objective has to be clear. Then place the right people in the right places. Square peg in square holes. So which is why for me, for instance, I don't employ family members because I want to be able to fire you with ease if you do not deliver. So no emotions. No emotions does not mean you shouldn't be empathic. You should display empathy, but at the same time, when the job has to be done, it has to be done. So you should not take people based on emotional basis or keep people, because what you're doing is you're actually destroying the organization. Then build seamless operational processes. Your processes must be seamless. So where you can, there's something called straight through processing. So start building processes where there is no human intervention. So once there's no human intervention, there's limited subjectivity. So systems are normally put in place to ensure accountability and ownership, and everybody must take responsibility for their job. Embrace service culture. I call myself the chief service officer of the Page because, and I throw my number everywhere. Any customer can reach me anytime. I only have one phone I carry, and I am available. If you send me a message, I'll definitely respond to you. And my customers can reach me. So by that, you are throwing the organization open to service. So if a customer needs something, I'll be too happy to respond myself. So it's important you have a strong service culture. Then know your business numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you'll be ashamed to your sector, not even to your company alone. So you must know your business. You must know your numbers. So if you say you are in a particular sector, you must understand what is happening to the sector. You must understand how money is made from the sector and who the big players are. The next slide talks about business challenges and the practical steps to navigate them. I would suggest you could go through this, but it talks about rising inflationary trend, high FX and unstable naira, low turnover, slow growth, revenue leakage, and I've put responses that would help you. But the one that is most important now is the way the FX and the naira has been pretty unstable. And what I said was, look, Start deploying an asset allocation strategy that will shore up losses arising from currency devaluation. So for businesses whose inputs are largely imported, you need to start looking at local alternatives. And when I say local alternatives, it's not just to say, oh, let me look for just a supplement. That supplement must not compromise quality. Where it compromises quality, then it's not a supplement. It's not going to actually, it's not an alternative for you because it would not meet your customers' yearnings. And once you have a dip in your quality, the quality of your products, you are in trouble. Again, another business challenge is also staff turnover. Even the bigger one is actually getting good people. We are so malnourished in terms of getting people that are ready to work. It is a problem in this country. So you have to get people and actually get them to work. You need to motivate them. You need to reward them, and you need to attract them, attract the best talent. Go for the best. Don't even compromise, because if you take poor quality staff, you'd actually end up suffering for it. The next slide talks about leadership qualities needed to build an enduring organization. I've mentioned it earlier, but again, you have to be clear about your vision. You need to know what you want to do, and your mission has to be clear. Then you now back those two with core values. What are the things you stand for as an organization? What are the things you won't compromise? Then the second, which is very critical, is actually data-backed decision-making system. A lot of us are fantastic at gathering data. A lot of us are very good at building the data. But the truth is, how do we put it to use? We cannot even interpret the data that we gather. So we must ensure we have data. Now, why is the West or the advanced world better than us? Because they gather data and they build analytics. As a matter of fact, I was talking to someone yesterday who told me he built his analytics back. He did a back test of 25 years, not even 3 years, not 2 years. So he's able to go through a series of cycles. There's a professor who is one of the biggest traders on the New York Stock Exchange, who said he went back to 1912 and actually started tracing how markets behaved then. So data is important. So whatever businesses you're looking at, you must first gather data and understand what the peculiarities are. And based on that data, you know when to enter the market, when to get out of the market, when to behave in a certain way, when to have the largest, when things are shrinking, you're able to respond. The third thing is communicate. Number one, you must be a fantastic listener, because you must listen to people. Because if you don't listen, you would not be able to digest anything. So you must ensure that you actually listen. Then you also are able to convey trust and credibility when you communicate and you are very open. And it also allows people to actually provide very constructive criticisms. Then the fourth thing that is important for leadership quality is paying attention to your results. You must be very, very attentive to whatever is coming out of your system, because you must take responsibility for it. So that is very, very critical. I have this quote by a guy called Buckminster Fuller, and it says that you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So what I'm saying in essence is that when you want to, all these people that are talking about, oh, we want to drive change, we want to do a change, it's not by actually fighting an existing model that and trying to adjust. You can build a new model, and that new model would radicalize totally everything. You know, I had a video, but unfortunately I can't, I don't have it here, but I'll just describe it to you. You know, there's something called a tug. A tug is a vehicle that actually pushes back an aircraft from where it's parked when passengers board. So the tug actually pushes back the aircraft and positions it, since a plane cannot actually go in reverse. It pushes it back and positions it to actually taxi and take off. Now, they have developed an automated tug So it is programmed from a particular room, and the talk goes there and actually pushes back. So there's no funding, no fueling, there's no worrying about a driver. So that is gone. So they've totally changed the model. So it's important that we all think that way. Now, I'll make a final point, and the final point is this. A lot of times, most of us say we have a lot of experience, and that experience is so much. But the reality is that we don't even learn from the experience. Now, some of us actually learn from the experience, but we don't act on the learning. So there are three stages to it. You might have a wealth of experience. That experience is there. Then you say you learn from the experience, and you can write out 10 things that you have learned from the experience. But how many of those things that you write down do you act on? And that is a major food for thought for everybody. So we need to go back and ponder on it. So when we reflect on those experiences, what are those things that we actually learn? And then how do we put those learnings to action? Because it's only by acting that you can actually succeed. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I've been able to keep to time to an extent. Thank you, sir.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so, so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I don't know about you, if you've been listening and watching this presentation, but there are a few things that I took out from this presentation. The first is that we should put square pegs in square holes. He said to us that he doesn't employ family members, which I think it's something many of us should take out from this, especially as SMEs. You know, yes, you need hands. Yes, you may not have the funding to even support the kind of workforce that you need, but and then you have family members and friends supporting you. It's always important to learn some of the things he has said with us, know how to show empathy, but at the same time with them. He mentioned about building seamless processes and systems, which is another great thing. He talked about being the chief service officer of his organization, and for us to improve our service culture, and a number of other things that he mentioned. So thank you very much, Mr. Shegun Akintemi, for
Thank you,
that
sir.
insightful session. And I want everyone on the call to know, yes, sir, thank you so much, sir. And I want everyone on the call to know that so far we have your email address. We will send the video and a link to the and learn again. You know, somebody said that the literate of the 21st century won't be about those that can neither read nor write, but about people that cannot learn, relearn, and unlearn. You can learn, you can unlearn. I would like to say to us that, or rather to remind us that there is a Q&A button on your screen. On my own screen is on the top right. So you can put in your questions there, because I see people putting questions in the chat box so that we can effectively monitor the question and provide answers. It's important we separate the questions from the chat. So you can use the button to drop your questions. We will take question after the next presentation. So please drop your questions using that button. And the quote, one of the things I'm taking out of Mr. Shegun Akintemi's presentation is that quote that says, "You never change things by fighting the existing model. You change by building a new model that, in my own words, it makes the old model irrelevant." So that is what we need to do, especially as young people. And I hope more young people can put this into practice, not only in business, in whatever change that we desire to see. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to another time, another point on to our guest speaker. Our guest speaker for today, she is the Executive Director and Chief Operations. And before I call her, Okay. Okay. I think I'm back. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can see you.
Okay,
Abiola
great.
Sam. Well done.
Great.
Well done.
So I'm
Great.
using 3 sources of internet. So, and despite that, it's still going off and on, but it's okay. I'm glad you can see me and hear me now. So before I went out, I was talking about Mrs. Kehinde Olomojobi, who is a seasoned finance professional and a strong player in the treasury management space with over 21 years banking experience, spanning treasury, currency trading, corporate sales, liquidity management, derivatives trading, financial modeling, fixed income trading, and balance sheet management, amongst other things. She has held positions such as the bank treasurer in Sterling Bank of Nigeria, the bank treasurer in Heritage Bank of Nigeria, bank treasurer in Enterprise Bank of Nigeria, and other finance treasury related positions. She is an alumnus of the prestigious Goldman Sachs Training Institute, Wharton Business School, as well as the Lagos Business School. Furthermore, she is a member of the Lagos Business School Alumni Governing Council and a fellow of the Financial Markets Dealers Association. She is an associate of the Chartered Institute of Bankers Nigeria, as well as the Chartered Institute of Bankers Scotland and Wales. Mrs. Kehinde Olomojobi is the chairman of the board of directors at So Fresh Nigeria Limited, which is Nigeria's #1 premium health food brand, in addition to her directorship of other firms, including Monterey Farms and Foods. Her passion about seeing men and women take control of their finances and live fulfilled lives led to her birthing Aurora with KWO, and eventually Aurora Financial Literacy Hub. By the way, KWO is what we call her in some circles. This same passion led her in also birthing the Aurora Genius Club, which is another learning platform developed to impact children with sound money and finance skills needed for the future, catching them young. Aurora, which means New Dawn, is a financial literacy platform designed to provide finance and career-related guidance, as well as mentoring for individuals from the organized financial private sector, business owners, budding and avid investors, as well as all other walks of life. This platform has hosted notable business, career, and thought leaders who have shared from their wealth of experience with the members of the hub, fondly called Tribers, and has recorded tremendous testimonials from members on how their finances, career, and life have been transformed. KWO, as she is fondly called, is a graduate of economics and holds an MSc in finance from the University of Leicester and an MBA from the University of Bangor, both in the United Kingdom. She is also a member of the CFA Institute. A highly sought after public speaker, KWO is an ordained minister, a wealth coach, a teacher, a treasury and investment expert, a financial literacy enthusiast and advocate, a serial entrepreneur and business owner. KWO brings to bear a tremendous strategic insight and financial acumen in her current capacity as the Executive Director of Finance and Strategy of Cypress Leasing and Investments Nigeria Limited. She is happily married to Wale Olomojobi. Let me insert my Oga, and they are blessed with 3 beautiful children. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our guest speaker, Kehinde Olomojobi, KWO. Please unmute, so we can hear you.
Thank you so much, Abiola Champ, my brother. You know where we roll. I want to say a big thank you to the organizers of this program. I'm going to stand on all existing protocols, and I'm going to express my appreciation to the Young Directors Forum of the Institute of Directors. Initially, when I got the invitation, I was wondering, why me? You know, and with all sense of humility, I was wondering, why not me? I've been there. I've gone through that journey, you know, transiting from 9 to 5 to building small businesses, you know, being on the board of another company, and then, you know, growing my own SME business. I'll be addressing this forum wearing 2 caps: a business owner of a growing SME and the board chair of an SME that has grown and has been able to attract foreign investment to the tune of over 300,000 euros in the last 2 years. It's a journey. And every business owner wants to transit to the level where you're able to attract good, solid, and sustainable investments. And that's why I'm here this afternoon, to share with you from this wealth of experience with all sense of humility. I will be drawing from my own experiences and also experience of other businesses I've been able to monitor, howbeit from a distance. I always like to present, just like Mr. Chegwa Akitemi. I'm saying good afternoon to you, sir, Mr. Akitemi. It's a pleasure meeting you again. You were part of our board retreat at Cyprus, and the knowledge you shared with us remains invaluable. And I want to say thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to say thank you to my board members, Alhaji Jinodu. I want to say thank you to my chairman, Dr. Temitope Oshikoya, and also my MD CEO, Mr. Wale Olomojobi. Their wealth of experience brought to bear every time we meet as a board are part of the things I'm going to be sharing here. I wasn't this person 3 years ago, but I can say I'm a better entrepreneur, I'm a better business owner, and also a strategic and aspiring entrepreneur to build more sustainable businesses in Nigeria. Research has shown that the MSME business, just to buttress what Mr. Akitemi has said, we are a large contributor to the Nigerian economy. You count 10 people, between 7 to 8 are employed by MSMEs. And so I want to ask every business owner here, give yourself a pat on the back for a good job done. You are a major contributor to the wealth of Nigeria. You are a major contributor to the growth of this economy. And so getting it right for us is very important so that we can move this country forward. The country is in our hands. And as usual, when I'm making presentations, I want to be able to appeal to both visual listeners and also auditory listeners. And that's why I'll be sharing my presentation. And I hope you find it interesting. And at the end of this session, it will engender a lot of questions from you. And I'm sure with the wealth of experience around the panelists that we have here, we will be able to do justice to all your questions. So I'll be going ahead to share my screen and my slides with you. And I wish you all happy listening. So I have a short outline here, just to let you know what I'll be touching on, a brief introduction. I'll be describing and defining micro and small businesses along SMEDAN definition. And then I put a topic there, structure to attract finance, a few tips, and then types of finance. Mr. Akitemi had mentioned a few, funding options. The big and major question as your business grows is debt versus equity, common errors business owners make, and how to grow a global brand, qualities of a good business owner, and then stakeholder engagement and relationships in business. I'll start by saying to be successful, you have to have your heart in the business and the business in your heart. What I'm trying to say is the place of passion, the place of focus, the place of tenacity and vision is very important in you driving your business to the next level, being able to attract the right funding. Do you have passion for your business? Do you have tenacity? Are you easily weighed down by the things that would definitely plague you in the journey of business ownership? Have your heart in it, be passionate about it, and you will be successful. According to a World Bank report, SMEs play a major role in most economies, particularly in developing countries like Nigeria. And we account for majority of businesses worldwide. And we are also important contributors to job creation and global economic development. We represent 90% of businesses, and more than 50% of employment worldwide are given by MSMEs. The World Bank estimates that 600 million jobs will be needed by 2030 to absorb the growing global workforce, which makes SMEs and their development a high priority for many governments around the world. In emerging markets, like I mentioned earlier on, we create 7 out of every 10 jobs. According to the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investments, Nigeria has over 37 million micro, small, and medium scale enterprises, and they account for more than 84% of total jobs in the country. So when you count 100 people, 84 of them are employed by business owners here. Access to finance is the key constraint to SME growth, and it is the second most cited obstacle facing SMEs to grow their businesses. I'm sure you're wondering what the first and the most important constraint is. It's people, and I'll be talking about it. Mr. Akitemi also mentioned it. People are a major constraint apart from finance. So finance ranks second in the list of constraints for SME growth in the world. Now, according to Smeden, we have three categories. So we have the micro, we have the small, and we have the medium. And for the micro, we have employment of less than 10 people, assets less than 5 million, small 10 to 49, assets of between 5 less than 50. And then for the medium enterprises, 50 to 199 members of staff and assets of between 50 and 100 million. A few businesses might rotate between micro and small because in the new normal for our business, for example, as an asset finance firm, we've leveraged more on technology. So you will be having members of staff, we have lean members of staff, but we have a robust technological marketing platform taking the place of human capital. And that's why categorizing them, you could use the number of people in their employment or the total assets of the organization. But that's how Smeden has more or less categorized MSMEs in Nigeria as of 2007. The types of funding for SMEs, and I'm going to be talking about the reality now. SMEs are less likely to obtain bank loans than large firms. Instead, they rely on internal funds or cash from friends and family to launch and initially run their enterprises. And that's true to type. If I'm going to count 10 enterprises, how many of them have been able to access bank loans? I'm sure I won't be able to get up to 2 because of the stringent conditions, the pricing, and the complexity of the documentation requirements. IFC estimates that 65 million firms, or 40% of formal micro, small, and medium enterprises in developing countries have an unmet financing need over 5.2 trillion every year, which is equivalent to 1.4 times the current level of global MSME lending. So there's a big gap of unmet financing needs for MSMEs, and that's a reality. And bringing it closer home, we see many businesses folding up, not because they don't have a vision, the promoters are not tenacious, or they don't have focus, but because the funding or the right type of funding is not available. Let me also say, ideas precedes capital. Most of the time, when we're talking about funding, talking about capital, there are various forms of capital. And so as business owners, let's always remember that capital does not have to be naira and kobo. It doesn't have to be cash. It could just be value that you're bringing on board in exchange for something else. But I'll be coming to that later on. Don't forget, ideas precede capital. What ideas do you have that can attract the right kind of capital for your business to scale up or to start ab initio? We can divide the types of finance for MSMEs into 2. We have the internal finance, and that's most of the time the starting point for most businesses, and that's personal savings and friends. When I talk about personal savings, I'm talking about asset realization. Some business owners have had to even sell off their cars to jumpstart their businesses, dip into their hard-earned savings to start their businesses, reach out to cooperatives or Esusu or Ajo groups, for that initial, what I'll call the seed capital. And if you have a good circle of influence, talking about your family and friends, you may be able to get some additional capital from them. And I want to charge every business owner here to do an audit of your circle of influence. Who are the people in your circle of influence? Pick up your phone and do a phone audit. And look at the people in your circle of influence. Who are the people that have the propensity to believe in your dream and want to drop a dime or a nickel or a naira or a kobo, to that business idea. Those are the people you need in your circle, and your circle of influence must be robust enough, to be able to generate the initial capital you may need for your business. It could be someone to do your bookkeeping for you. It could be someone to give you some small money to start. It could be someone that will help you with the sales. You must have a robust network. Let me also put a caveat. You cannot have what you cannot give. And so you must also be willing to be a positive force in the dreams of other people so that people can run to you and run with your vision when you share it with them. Talking about the external type of funding, there are the other types of funding: trade credits, invoice discounting, factoring, bank overdraft, suppliers credits, sale and lease back, and other kinds of funding. The kind of funding you're going to attract will depend on the sophistication of your business. So for me, as an asset finance firm, for example, or as a chairman of a food business, a thriving food business, the kind of capital or funding for both businesses are very different. And it depends on the sophistication, the product type, the market, the target audience, the target markets for the business. So begin to look internally within yourself. What is your business likely to attract in terms of capital or funding? What is the level of sophistication, your bookkeeping, your audit of your account, your board structure, your corporate governance structure, your SOPs? Those are the kind of things that would determine the kind of funding you will be able to attract from external investors. And I've tried to bring it closer home by breaking it down. And I said the first human and financial capital, where you have to sell your assets at times, your car, a piece of land here and there, your savings, your contributions at the Esusu or Ajo, and then coming closer to family and friends. A few people have had to reach out to loan sharks, or what we call the payday loan companies, who are really bridging the gap, the financing gap. They're really providing fast, quick, easy loans, for business owners, for households, and for consumers out there. And kudos to them, they're doing a good job. The pricing may not be very attractive in terms of being able to repay back, but I think getting it right, getting the right customer base, they will be able to continue to bridge that gap in the funding market. And then we have suppliers credit. I remember one of the first businesses I ever ran was a hot bread shop. And I'll take you through that journey. Starting the hot bread shop somewhere on Aja axis was a decision we took as a family, because we believed that the quote from Warren Buffett that said, if you have only one stream of income, you are only one step away from poverty, resonated so well with us as a household. And so myself and my husband decided, okay, let's have, whilst we're still at 9 to 5, let's have a hot bread shop, what we call a bakery. And having that hot bread shop, we needed to have the initial startup capital. We needed to buy the bread pans, we needed to buy the oven, we needed to buy the generator because power was not reliable. We needed to do so many things. And in financing every part of that hot bread shop, including paying the rent, we had to look at different kind of financing options. So for the rent, for example, we had to look at our savings to pay the 2 years rent. Now, in buying the generator, which was a 35 kVA generator, we had to do a lease. I hope our entrepreneurs are listening. We had to do a lease with a leasing company. And that was what made us start an asset finance firm, because we saw the need for startups to finance equipment that would make them dip into their little capital, to be able to buy those assets. You don't want to buy an asset and then you have to use a little capital. So we did a lease for the generator, and then we had to do other forms of procurement for the bakery equipment, and that business started. So savings, leasing, and family come around to do the accounting work for us, and having ideas, cross-pollination of ideas from family and friends, we were able to start that hot bread shop. One of the things you also have to know when you're starting a business is carve your niche, and know where you stand in the value chain. Most of the time when you want to start a business, you want to be the producer, distributor, brand man, you want to be the one branding, you want to be the one on every part of the value chain. And the cost of running the business begins to weigh down on you to the extent that your margins becomes very thin. You need to carve a niche. You need to see, okay, I'm a hot bread shop, I'm just going to be baking. People are going to come and take it up from me without me branding. They put their own branding on it, provide their own transportation for distribution. And then you take a lot of stuff off your head. You begin to leverage on suppliers credit. I remember the lady then was always giving us the bags of flour, sugar, and the tubs of butter for a 7-day period, and then we pay her back after 7 days. Suppliers credit. It helped us in running that hot bread shop. So there are different kinds of funding that you would have to look at and dimension what your business needs at that point in time. And then going on to other sophisticated kinds of funding, we have the angel investors, and that brings me to SoFresh, where I sit as a board of directors. And for us in SoFresh, we had to do a lot of bookkeeping, a lot of house arrangements, a lot of corporate governance structuring, for us to be able to get that 300,000 euros from the angel investor, a lot of advisory from lawyers, a lot of crossing of T's and dotting of I's. So the level of sophistication of your business would determine the kind of funding. For us, again, in Cypress Leasing, we have embarked on a private placement journey. So we're not looking at angel investors yet. We're looking at other forms of funding. So what would work for one person may not work for you. Look at your business critically. Look at yourself in the mirror. How well structured is your business? That will determine the kind of funding you will be able to raise. The ultimate question may be debt or equity. If I have time, I will talk about that also, so that you're taking the right decision at the right time in your journey. I'm going to just talk briefly about 7 business grants and funding for entrepreneurs and business owners in Nigeria. As of 2019, we have the Tony Elumedu entrepreneurship program. I have people that have tapped into this and are enjoying 1 or 2 grants from them. The UWIN Connect Nigeria, the Bank of Industry. Even for us in SoFresh, Bank of Industry has a particular fund for companies that have women as top management, either at the board level or executive management level. And we've been able to tap into this at single digits as SoFresh, and we're enjoying the BOI grants. We also have the Growing Fund. We have the Diamond Bank BET program. And then ultimately we have Lagos State Entrepreneurs Trust Fund. You can go and Google and make inquiries about all these funds and grants. And for all you care, it may also jumpstart a bookkeeping, a structuring, a corporate governance structuring of your business. Because really, if you want to attract funding of any kind, even if it's your family and friends, your ideas have to be properly articulated, properly dimensioned, the vision, the plan, the collaborations, the alignment, all have to be properly documented for you to be able to attract any kind of funding. Every business, and I'm bringing it further closer home to our own business, suffered during the NSAS protests. Our marketing vehicles, about 6 of them, were all destroyed in the basement of the building in Central Business District of Lagos, Lagos Island. And so at that point in time, getting back into the business for some businesses was very difficult. And then the Survival Fund program was introduced by government. I'm sure a few businesses may have tapped into these free grants, to jumpstart their businesses. But I just painted that picture to let you know that nobody was immune to it. The fact that you weren't making revenues was one. And then the fact that your businesses were destroyed. A case in point, a fellow board member had her business destroyed somewhere in Surulere. The shop was vandalized, looted, and made me start to think, if entrepreneurs in Nigeria, in the country, don't have a backup plan, if you don't have a contingency funding plan, if you have not stress tested your liquidity and also dimension the risk in your business. If things like the NSAS protest happens or continues to happen, or the state of insecurity increases, how well will your business be positioned? And that speaks to the fact that the risk management structure in any business, no matter how small, has to be properly dimensioned. The mitigants should be looked at, because risk can either be mitigated, transferred, or avoided. And when you can't avoid that risk, you must be able to transfer it or put in place the right mitigant to help you in bouncing back. Peradventure, the risk crystallizes. So this is about the Survival Fund Program. If you're an entrepreneur here and you've suffered one or two things, or you need a form of grant for your payroll, payroll, for example, to keep your staff, still being paid, you may just look at this and apply for whatever category you qualify for. And that's the survivalfund.gov.ng. Now, what I put here are the things that worked for us in being able to attract finance. And one of the things I've said here in the first paragraph is you must have a semblance of structure. As a small micro business, you must have a semblance of structure. So are you a sole proprietorship? Do you have a business name registration? Are you fully CAC registered? You must have, do you have your tax ID? Let me talk about tax very briefly. No matter how small your business is, please give unto Caesar's what is Caesar's. Pay your tax. What I've noticed in the few years I've run businesses is that compliance is more important than correctness. Compliance. So if you're not sure of, how much tax should I pay, you can't engage a tax consultant, yes. Look at what the tax laws say and comply to the level of the knowledge that you have. It's better for you to comply than not comply at all. And most businesses try not to avoid taxes, just pay. When you want to attract finances, part of the documentation requirements could be your compliance with your local tax laws. The investor wants to see how structured you are in following regulations within your business environment. It's important. As time goes on, your CAC registration should be very robust, not just to register your name alone. Do a full CAC registration to enhance your company's brand, and corporate governance is very important. Let me take you through our corporate governance journey at SoFresh. SoFresh, as we speak, is going into 11 years. I joined SoFresh when SoFresh was 7 years old. And then SoFresh clocked 10 years last year, December. As at the time I joined SoFresh, we had 6 locations. Now we have 13 locations. As at the time I joined SoFresh, being the pioneer board of directors for the first 3 years, but my tenure has just been renewed for another 3 years, we were able to bring a semblance of structure, corporate governance, competence to attract the kind of funding that we're able to attract. The due diligence done on the board members, the due diligence done on the self, SOPs, manuals, board committees, everything was thoroughly done, and the angel investor eventually released over 300,000 euros to us. Now, looking at the view, will that money have been released if there was no semblance of structure? I don't think so. Structure also in terms of human capital, succession plan, was also very well articulated and detailed. The vision, the 5-year goal of the company. Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years in terms of number of locations or outlets, in terms of staff size, in terms of contribution, your social responsibility to your environment? Those are the things that need to be articulated. So corporate governance is something you must all aspire to get to. For us in Cyprus also, we embarked on our corporate governance journey about 4 years ago. And one of the things we did was to incorporate a board, but before that, we needed to do our internal structuring of the business. the various divisions, the various unit heads, recruiting the right people, like Mr. Kitemi said, putting the right people in the right roles, looking at their pedigree, their level of their comportment, their competence, and articulating it, and then taking it to the board level to incorporate a board. And I can assure you, we've gone a long way. The business has grown, the brand has grown, and we keep growing on a daily basis. So corporate governance, very, very important, very important. You must also dimension your books from the owner's books. Many young, micro, and growing businesses have not properly done that. The business is separate from the owners of the business. And so you must strictly have an account for the business so that when you have to present your accounts or your investor, no matter how sophisticated that investor is, the books, the accounting is very important. I remember when we started the bakery, all we had was just a journal and a pen, and would record all sales and all expenses. Every month, I will rule it out and say, okay, we made this amount, or this is what we made. And it could be as mundane as that. It could be as simple as that. Ensure you keep your books. I remember then the cash collection strategy was that a microfinance bank would come every evening to the bakery and pick up the cash. We did not know that a bank was already looking at us and was monitoring activities. And they came in one said, we want to take over your cash collection business. And so we started coming to come and pick up the cash. And you can imagine what else translated with us and that bank for that time period. Very interesting journey. So able to properly dimension your books. You don't know who's looking. You don't know what opportunities might come. You want to put your best foot forward and be prepared like the Boy Scouts. Mr. Akintemi has said that also. Additionally, banks are more inclined to listen to you when you're structured. You build brand credibility. I've also found out most business owners using Gmail or Yahoo for official correspondences. I want to appeal, owner here, try and have an official outlook to your. It gives you some brand enhancement, when you're sending out a mail from a domain that is official. And I don't think it's very much expensive. Please try and put an official outlook to your emailing system. I've mentioned the tax compliance and tax requirements. I've also mentioned proper role alignment within the organization, your social media presence, your credit bureau records. Business grow. As business, ensure you have good credit history. We're trying to finalize an approval yesterday for a particular organization, and the organization did not have anything on the credit bureau, nothing. What we did was to now unveil the director's details, and a lot of information came out. So when you take a loan, no matter how small, please pay it back. The records are always there. And if your organization doesn't have any, the investor or the bank or the person that wants to finance you would dig deep, promoters of the business, to see how compliant they are in terms and paying back. So your footprints as individuals, business promoters, business owners, and as businesses are very important. There on the internet, what outlook do you have there on your Instagram page? Please monitor and be very careful. Brand credibility as you build and help to attract financing. These are a few tips I said that I will share with you, and I hope you found them a bit useful. Your business and you are your business, and your business is you. You are one and the same when the running of the business, and there are common errors we as make. I have fallen into the trap of many of these errors, but what's important is when you fall, you brush yourselves up and you moving. You can see a banana peel there. One of the things we try to do is to be everything, trying to do it all. What I've tried to do sure that I have people who know what I don't know. And there we're able to build a formidable team with everybody bringing competencies to bear in decision-making, in running the business. And that's why I can afford to go on, because I know I have the right people, doing the right thing, working together as a team to move. Professionalism, ethics, very, very important. We went for a meeting yesterday, organization, the power provider. And then a few things were going on and on. I wasn't at that meeting, and my staff already telling them it's not good, because they know the values of the business promoters. They know the things we will not do. They know the things we will do. You must, in every of your business dealings, no matter how small, you might be running a small business. There will be somebody somewhere at you who will put in a word when your business grows bigger to say, oh, I know that person. Oh, he won't do that. Be forthright. Professionally, have the right values, promote ethics within your business. Let your members of staff know what you stand for. Not being forthright is one of the mistakes we make as business owners, because we want to quickly get that deal. We want to make that, but we don't want our competitor to take that business from us. But you see, if you lose that business today and you remain forthright, eventually the one meant for you will come to you. The next one is having no clear marketing strategy. It's happened to me where we were doing a scattershot approach. What we did at Cypress Leasing was to create a niche where we have key competence. And we focused on that, partnering with the right people, and we're moving forward. So you must have a clear marketing strategy. Use the Pareto principle. Look at the 20 that will give you your 80, so that you're not wasting resources, manpower, the wear and tear on your marketing cars. You're just focused, and you're putting out a clear message on all fronts. Business. Cutting prices. I remember after the NSAS and we got back to work, we had to go look at our partners and check that our roller banners were still existing. And we got to a particular of one of our partners, and our roller banner was not there. What it meant was people coming into that business, which was inverters, another roller banner, another company's banner was there. And when I say we, I mean the business. Gave me feedback. And they said, oh, this is the pricing of this particular company. Ours is more expensive. And members of staff were like, madam, let's reduce the price. I said, no. It's to improve on our USP, our unique selling points, which is financing them when they need it and offering them other options. But in terms of pricing, when you price yourself prices because you're looking at competition, you would have losses on your hands and you may not be able to sustain it. So don't, as the first thing you want to cut to get the business, look at other values that you can give to your customer, speed to markets, turnaround time, the after sales service, other things you can bring as a unique selling point. Cutting prices may way. Looking at So Fresh, for example, we're a food business. We came back after the answers, and one of the things had gone up. The parfaits, we needed to increase the price. And we said, other people are cutting costs. Should we also cut our costs so that people, our salads and our parfaits? And we said, no, we won't do that. Rather, we would offer other sizes, other options. But in reducing prices, you may end up sales in the leg. It is not the best option to cut prices. Rallying point, I've said it, when you don't have the same goal, your team must be formidable, have a common vision, and be able to move forward as a powerful force. Now, setting unrealistic financial goals. I want to say thank you once again to my board chair and other board members of Cypress. What we did, ED Finance, come and sit down here. Bring your 2021 budgets. And everybody agreed, in line with current realities, in line with inflation, in line with the power of the average Nigerian out there. Can you still meet this budget? And it was adjusted. And that made everybody more nimble, more eager, more agile to meet the revised budget. Set realistic budgets for yourself and goals, make them smart, make them attainable, and you are able to move forward. The team that is behind you is also encouraged, to keep moving forward to make sure everything runs well. Assuming you have no competition, there's competition for you out there. No matter how small your business is, don't ever assume you don't have competition. I will end by saying, don't be a weak leader. Many of us want to appeal to our members of staff, want to look good. We want to want people to talk about us in a good way. Yeah, don't be a weak one, because in the art of war, everybody needs to be agile. There are results expected of you, especially when you have a board or investors who are waiting for their ROI. And so you cannot afford to be lackadaisical or not being firm. I'm not saying you should be wicked, but be a strong leader who walks the talk. So we're giving them a target of 10 million. You're also bringing in a 15. Don't be a weak leader. Don't be afraid to face a member of staff who is not performing. And I like and I love what Mr. Akitemi said. He doesn't employ family members. It's one of our core principles in Cypress Leasing. We don't employ family members, so that we're able to be objective when it comes to appraisals, performance revision exercises. We're able to look at people critically and objectively without any sentiment and dish out appropriate rewards or sanctions as when due. Don't be a weak leader, please. It's your business, run it well. Walk the talk, be a talk now do, and people will respect you. Don't worry about failure. Failure will come. I've failed at businesses, but you only have to get it right once and you're cruising. So don't be afraid if you've done a business before, it failed. You're not a failure, the business failed. You're not a failure, it was the business that failed. So don't worry, just get it right once and you're able to move forward. Non-financing business challenges. Apart from finance, there are other non-financing business challenges. And I'll be rounding up very shortly. People. And I'm under people, I have about 5 points there. And I'll talk about the employability quotient. People have credentials, they have certificates, but they're not employable. And when I talk about employability, I'm talking about skills beyond your educational certification. What other skills are you bringing to bear in the organization? What is the differentiating factor between that staff and the existing one or the one that will still walk through the door? Most Nigerian youths are not employable because they've not developed additional skills that will help them. So it's a major issue for entrepreneurs and business owners. And that's why it may look as if you have a high staff turnover. But let me tell you and assure you, please keep changing the staff until you have the right team. It doesn't mean that you're bad. It only means you have a standard and you want to meet up with that your standard. The other one is competence, integrity and ethics, professionalism, initiative. Most members of staff don't have initiative. They want you to come to work in the morning and tell them what to do. You go to that customer, We don't need errand boys as young business owners. As budding businesses, we don't need errand boys and girls. We need people that have initiative, people that would move and do what is supposed to be done, not waiting for you to push them. Beyond the people issues, we have economic issues. We have government policies, we have insecurity, we have competition, we have inflation to deal with, we have NPR, the lending rates, PLR, we have the consumer price index, so many things we're battling with as business owners. But you know what? You just have to remain there and find a way to work around all these issues. You just have to find a way. If you keep giving excuses, you may not be able to scale up your business. And that's where collaboration, partnerships, flexibility, all come to play in ensuring you're able to beat all of these issues and still remain relevant in your business space. Debt or equity, I'll come to this later. In building a global brand, there are some tips I'm going to share very briefly. I think my time is fast spent. And you must understand customer behavior, You must position yourself. How is your brand positioned? I remember when Mr. Kitemi was talking to us during a board retreats, and he was talking about Page Finance. I went to his website. I tried the loan approval process. It was top notch. So he wasn't just talking about it. His brand, what he was talking about was real, and I had the experience. It was experiential for me. So you must position your brand properly, your social media presence, your customer testimonials. What do customers talk about to you? In building a new website for Cyprus, for example, we had to do a survey of 20 top customers to say, what is your experience with Cyprus leasing? And I was very, very humbled to hear some of the feedback from our customers. So your customer testimonials also very, very important. You must also look for the right partners. When you carve your niche in your business, who are your partners that will help you scale up? Right partnerships, very, very important. Who is a good business owner? One, you must be determined, and you must be willing to succeed against all odds. So tenacity, focus, vision, initiative. You must be smart, ready to take good decisions as when due. You must have integrity. Have the education and the training. I remember when I first joined Cyprus Leasing after banking for about 20-something years, and the accountant was throwing figures at me, and I was smiling. And I told myself, I need to go and read up before this person will sell me, And now when we're talking across the table, even with the auditors, we just finished our audit for 2020 audits. When I'm sitting with auditors, they're talking, I know what they're talking about. Are you a business owner here? Do you understand every part of your business? I go to work every day with the mindset that no member of staff will come to work. And when I go with that mindset, what I'm trying to say is that I know what every unit is doing, and I can as well fill the gap, howbeit for a few days before a new member of staff comes to work. If you're a business owner here, know every part of your business, know the marketing, the accounting, the technology part of it, the production part, know every part of your business. Let nobody hold you to ransom. Train yourself. I remember then in running the hot bread shop, I knew how many loaves of bread a 50 kg bag of flour will give me. I know how many tubs of butter I will use in a month. I knew up to the yeast level. I knew everything. I knew how to measure the dough for a 450-gram loaf of bread. You must be involved. You must have the training and the education for your business, no matter how sophisticated it is. Very, very important. That way, you're going to be able to walk the talk, encourage your members of staff, and let them know that you are all doing it together. You can't be a big madam or a big oga in an office and not know what's going on around you. People could sabotage you. So education and training, upskilling, continuous learning, very, very important. You must also be a dynamic leader, flexible, empathetic, so that members of staff know they can always walk up to you, share their ideas with you. You're going to be flexible about it. The ones you can take on, you take them on. The ones that don't apply, you let them know in a very nice way. We can look at this later. Good idea, awesome idea, later on. You must also have a good social network. Your people, your social network, very, very important. For our private placement, for example, it's been from people that we know, our social network. And it's important you build a good social network, and it comes from character. Character, very, very important. Growth is never by chance. Hard work, and partnership. Partnership, this is what the founder of JCPenney said. It is the result of forces working together. So there are forces around you, intrinsic and external forces that will help you in achieving the growth of your business. If you're a business owner, there are certain collaborations that you need. You need a lawyer. For us in Cyprus, we don't have an in-house lawyer. We've outsourced to Deloitte, and they are corporate secretaries. So look for people that would look at your documentation for you, the ones you can outsource. If you're a small business, you cannot afford to have a big corporate secretariatship collaboration, look for a friend of yours who has finished from law school that you can engage, The same thing with accountants. We have so many accountants out there. I have friends who are accountants, and I've said, if I have a problem with my accounting units any day, I'm going to tell somebody to come in and come and look at it. The same thing with sales consultants, marketing experts, graphic designers, you know. And then as a business owner, your mental health is very important. Your mental health. I'm a life coach, for example. So you must have coaches around you, people that will coach you, people that would help you, because there will be stormy times when your mental health will be tested. Have you gone to work before and you got there, NEPA had cut the light of the whole building? And so your email system, you can't do anything. Your staff are there, you can't do anything. How would you feel as a business owner? Or you're in production and you get to your factory and there's no water, or a lizard, or something horrible happened. Your mental health will be tested. So you need a support system around you, because your contacts are the real money. I want to end by saying, thinking outside the box is the new normal. What I found out in Nigeria is that textbook plans or tips does not cut it any longer. You have to be able to think outside the box, fit into the new normal to ensure your business remains relevant. Like I mentioned, rather than engaging more human capital, we're leveraging on technology. Sakitemi gave us an insight into that, and we ran with it. You know, you must be able to think outside the box. Flexibility. Normally, when you're doing a lease, you do a 30% initial contribution with a reduction in the earning capacity of the average Nigerian or disposable income. Most people cannot put down that 30%. What else can you do? We look at business owners who have cars but don't have working capital. And we came up with a product where you sell that car to us, we give you cash, and you lease the car back. It's called a sale and lease back, and you pay rentals. So you are still using your car, you have access to your car, and you have access to the required working capital. That's thinking outside the box. So as a business owner, be looking at the things you can do, you know, to ensure your business is sustainable, your business remains relevant. And like I said, ideas precede capital. You may think you need capital and all you need is structuring. You may think you need capital or money and all you need is just to get your human capital rights. Structure is inevitable, I've mentioned that. Structure your business, dimension your accounting books, dimension your human capital, dimension the roles. And as you get more sophisticated and your business is growing, begin to look at corporate governance from a strategic point of view. And that's what I've just put here, different kinds of business structures. I'm sure many of us here are already conversant with this. I will end with the words of Henry Ford. A business absolutely devoted to service will have one worry about profits. They will be embarrassingly large. So your business to succeed must be focused on service, service, and service. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Kendi Wole-Olomojobi. I'm done.
Wow. 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 Wow, the great KWO. Thank you very much for that insightful, refreshing challenge. Quickly ask everybody watching, listening right now, if you a mini MBA session you just went through, and coupled with the mini MBA session that Mr. Akitemi gave to us earlier, coupled with everything you've learned this afternoon, how much would you have paid? Now, I want to be reading. I'm reading in the chat box. Let me see your reactions. How much would you have paid for this? Let me see your reactions. Let me see your reactions. How much would you have paid for this? This thing that the YDF committee with IOD is offering to all of us, how much would you have paid for it? Now, let me assure you that I'm not about to ask value that you would attach to what we're doing this afternoon. So I want to read from you. I want to read from you very quickly. How much would you have paid for this? Okay, everybody's saying thank you so much, KW. Thanks, man. Great presentation. Thank you, Shaya. Finally, somebody gives me a figure. Shaya Adewiyi, thank you. He says 1 million naira. Okay, great. 1 million naira. That's the first figure I'm seeing. Shuaib says money can't buy this. Life skill. It's okay. Chinedu says 500K. Okay. Who else is giving me figures? I've only seen 2 figures, people. One of the things we've learned today is that we should master our figures. It's about money. Hey, somebody throws in a foreign currency tweet, says $500. Okay, cool. Somebody says $250. It's okay. Another person says $100. Someone says 500K and above. Okay, cool. This is what the IOD is bringing to us. As sponsored by Zenith Bank. Zenith Bank, once again, thank you very much for bringing this to us. Thank you very much, KWO. An answer session shortly. But before we have the question and answer session, we would like to hear from our sponsors, Zenith Bank.
As you adjust to the new realities of operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings.
Femi Awoyomi says excellent. Yumi says too valuable. Samson Obade says great presentation.
Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Thank you says perfect delivery. Wow, too valuable. It's not in textbook. That's what she Oluyede said.
Hi, my name is Tejmi Wasupia. Welcome to my crib. In my family, we believe life should be simple, convenient, and fun. That's why we use a bank that not only understands our transaction needs, but also provides us with options that best suit our personal styles. Take me, I have a Zenith Aspire account that provides me with the flexibility to manage my school expenses and be the cool guy on campus. Wait a minute, this is my big sister, Tiwa. She's a fashion designer. She sells her outfits online using Zenith Global Pay and regularly sends money to my kid sister and I with *966# easy banking. Meet my big brother, Abu. Abu loves football. He's the mobile app guy, and with just a click on the Zenith mobile app, he has our cable subscription back up because he hates missing games. That's my mom. Mom is the superwoman, and she's always trying out new recipes. Mom is a convenient shopper. She orders online, but prefers to pay with her debit card. Now, meet my dad, Mr. Wazobia. He says his phone can be distracting while he's at work, which is why he's always using the Zenith Internet Banking Portal on his PC, www.zenithbank.com. Have I told you about my younger sister and bestie, Chioma? She recently opened a Zika Teens account. She experiments a lot and uses all the Zenith digital channels depending on how she feels. That's Aunt Nene. She's always smiling and has already opened a Zenith Children's account for my niece, Bimbo, to save towards her future education. Let's not forget Grandma and Grandpa Wazobia. They've been Zenith Bank customers forever and currently pay no bank charges with their Zenith Timeless accounts. Voila! This is us, the Wazobias. So whatever you like, however you like it, Zenith Bank PLC has got you covered. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Thank you, Zenith Bank once again. Thank you, Zenith Bank. So it's time for the Q&A, and also thank you to everybody for sending their comments, their good wishes, the things they are learning into the chat box. But now we need to move into the Q&A session. So there is a question. First question is from Femi Awiyomi, who is asking, do you accept interns in your organization? Because of the time this question came in, I will assume that this question is from Mr. Akintemi. So do you accept interns in your organization? Now, because of time, I would like to recommend that we just take the questions. So the structure for this Q&A session is I will read the set of questions that I believe were addressed to Mr. Akintemi, so he can take them in one swoop. I will also read the questions that I think I addressed to Mrs. KWO, so she can take them in one swoop. Then we can take that in the third batch. So Mr. Akintemi and Mrs. KWO, I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Perfectly fine by me.
Okay, great. So I assume the first question, do you accept interns in your organization, is directed to Mr. Akintemi. The second question from William Nwankwo says, I know recruitment is an HR topic. Are there any clues to watch out for when trying to recruit good employees? I think because of also the time that question came in is for Mr. Akintemi. So these two questions are HR questions. The third question is, how can a digital marketing firm access credit facility? I also think that's for Mr. Akintemi. Bate Sule, okay, yes, you will all get the slides.
Abiola Champs. Sorry for cutting in. In order to save everybody's time, because we are actually running out of our structured timing. The question on HR had actually been answered by KWO from our presentation. So I don't think we should talk that anymore. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think we should just go to how digital marketing firm can access credit facility in Nigeria. And that is a question to Mr. Akintemi, I guess. So, sir, over to you.
It's, I don't think accessing finance or any form of facility is based on the factors I listed earlier. So you have to have very clear and detailed data in terms of your business. You have to have a very good understanding of your business. You have to have a cash flow. You have to have some bit of history to define your competence. And more importantly, irrespective of what business, because you mentioned digital marketing. Yeah, digital marketing is about focusing on all the digital media, which is Facebook, Instagram, and all the new ones that are coming up. Yes, so there's the issue is when we look at your specific sector, we can now define facilities that would actually serve your purpose directly. So yes, it's possible. You can actually access a credit facility as a digital marketing firm. And my own perspective is that basically you acquire slots and timeshare with most of these digital media companies, and you now resell. I believe that's what you do. So those things are things that are definitely possible. So yes, you can access credit, and it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And I think that's the only question we have in the Q&A session. So I want to say thank you once again to Mr. Segun Akintemi, the CEO of Page Financial Services Limited, for the contribution this evening, and also, or this afternoon rather, that is about to get into evening. And many thanks as well to Mrs. Kehinde Wole Olom-Ojobi, the ED and COO of Cypress Leasing and Investment, for sharing knowledge as well with us. My job is almost done. I would like to hand over to Mr. Sunday Adenipekun for the next item on the agenda.
Okay, thank you so very much, Mr. Abiola Champs Salami, for the facilitating the flow of the session. And of course, at this juncture, I just want to appreciate everybody who have been part of this program. But first and foremost, I like to say that these have been awesome. I have personally learned a lot, and I've been really, really motivated to go into a number of businesses, or probably emboldened, and that is as a result of the robust discussion presentation that the special guest of honor and of course the guest speaker have delivered today. But at this junction, I want to really appreciate the president and the chairman of the governing council of the IOD Nigeria, who has always been passionate about this Young Directors Forum, and particularly this networking and knowledge sharing session. And he has always been an encourager and making it possible for us to put this program together. So, and I want to thank him and the rest member of the council for being a stimulus even unto us. And of course, today I want to say a big thank you to the our special guest of honor, Mr. Segun Akintemi, who readily, agreed to be part of this program and to perform that big role that he had. We have drawn from your wealth of knowledge, and of course, a lot in the house have been asking how they might get in touch with you. I believe we will provide that ladder, because we learned from your presentation that there is no protocol. You make yourself as accessible as possible. So I believe the attendees in the house will really take advantage of that opportunity to have more intimate discussion with Page Financials through you. Thank you so very much, sir. We cannot thank you enough.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I want to say a big thank you to Mrs. Kehinde, KW for short, for wonderful session. Honestly, I believe after this program, we'll fall back to go and study those slides the more. Somebody just spoke to me here in the house that this is an Harvard presentation. And we really appreciate you, Ma, for your time and for all the effort that you are putting to deliver such a robust session. We want to assure you that we'll do our best to ensure that all the participants of this program get your slides, because they have been asking, and that of Mr. Akitemi. Please, if you are on this program, you are assured of getting the slides that were presented. And of course, if you now have further questions after that, let us have it. I'm sure they will be willing to respond to your questions, please. Then of course, at this junction, I want to really appreciate our host for today. That is the chairman of this the steering committee of the Young Directors Forum, who has always been there, come rain, come sunshine, to support us, to advise, and to use his robust network to bring very important personalities who can add value, who are willing to contribute to knowledge and to build capacity, those who are mentors, those who are, coaches, or even of young directors. Bring them on this program, and they have all been adding value. Sir, I want to say a big thank you to you, Dr. Adeyinka Hassan, for the role that you have played, you have consistently played, even today. Thank you so very much, sir. And I want to thank once again, our compare for today, Mr. Abiola Champ Salami, who is a world-class performance coach and somebody who has, highly recognized across the world as having added value in the area of, performance to many organizations. And of course, he is a well-read author who has just released his new book titled The Magic of Emotional Intelligence. Please, if you have not read that book, or you need to get a copy of that book. I'm sure maybe before we end this session, we put how we could get the copy in the chat box for us. The Magic of Emotional Intelligence is one book that I've been reading since last week. And of course, it contains a lot that we all need to learn, even that can add value to our business. Thank you very much, Mr. Abiola Salami, for creating time to facilitate this program. Thank you. We really appreciate your time. And I want to seize the opportunity to thank all of you who have attended this program. A lot registered for this program, but I guess about half of them were able to attend it. So I want to appreciate your presence. We'll do everything to keep in touch with you. For those of us who have really opted to be a member of YDF, we're going to send the necessary forms to you that you will just complete and return to us. Then we can follow through that. I want to say a big thank you to all my colleagues in IOD Secretariat who have contributed immensely to the success of this program. I say thank you very much for your effort. Thank you for the hard work. And of course, it's just the beginning of more work. I say a big thank you to all of you. And I must not end this session without appreciating our Director General CEO, Mr. Dele Salami, who is unavoidably absent today because of all the engagements outside Lagos. And he's really appreciating all of you. And I want to thank him for his untiring support and efforts to make this YDF a big success. Thank you very, very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage those who are not yet members of YDF, that is Young Directors Forum. Not many of us have been asking, how may I become a member? Please, is a very simple, as simple as ABC. All you need to do is just to go to our website. You will see a button for Young Directors Forum, which you can click, and from there you download the registration form for the membership of Young Directors Forum, which you can complete and send to our email. Or the other way to do it is to just send an email, to us at IOD, and we'll process it. We'll send a registration form to you for Young Directors Forum, which you can complete and send back to us. And from there, we can wrap up the process. Thank you so very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We look forward to meeting you on other programs going forward. And if you have any question before you depart from this platform, you can put it in the chat box. I will respond to you. Thank you so very much. My name is Sunday Adenipekun. I am the Director of Training and Capacity Development for IOD Nigeria. And I'm glad to be part of this program. And I'm highly privileged to have worked with, the special guest of honor today and the guest speaker. They are very, very simple people who are straightforward and who has given all, they have given us all the audience that we needed. Thank you very much. We cannot thank you enough. Thank you, sir. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akitemi.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you so much, KWO. I like the acronym KWO now, so I will adopt it.
I've also adopted that.
I hope you are available for us because we will be calling on you from time to time. Because what was delivered today was the Harvard stuff, like they said.
Mr. Akitemi added to it. Our board retreat was wow with him there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, madam. Thanks. We'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Then. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Saz and Maz. It's been an honor anchoring this and also learning all the way this afternoon. And thank you, Mr. Sunday Adenikwekun, for the introduction. And I have already shared in the chat box for those who are interested in getting the revolutionary book, The Magic of Emotional Intelligence, How Champions Apply Emotional Intelligence to Achieve Peak Performance and Advancements in Life. So you can just click on that link and get a copy for yourselves. So thank you very much, everyone, for being on this call today, for contributing, for listening, for sending, for responding when I asked the question, for asking questions when our resource persons gave us the wonderful presentation. And I want to employ everyone that ensure that you join the IOD if you are not yet a member of the IOD. I also want to enjoin every one of us to apply all that we have learned today. And because we are also still sending the video and the slides to us, to our emails, please watch again so you can learn, relearn, and unlearn. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure serving you today. Once again, my name is Abiola Champ Salami. And at this point, I would like to call for the national anthem for us to round off the session today.
Thank you, Mr. Abiola Salami.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Also add that join the IOD and YDF and the IOD as this house that you call Mr. Sunday on this number 080-589-76, and I'm typing it in the box right now so that you can also have it. Call Mr. Sunday call him on this number and he will be more than willing to engage you, to further help you in registering as a member of the IOD. IOD is a great platform to be. It's a place to stand on the shoulder of giants so that you can see further, just like Isaac Newton said. He said it in the early 19th century. That principle still works even in 2021. So can we have the national anthem now to round off the session?
Hi, my name is Tejri Wasu.
Just a minute.
Once again, thank you to Zenith Bank for sponsoring this session today. We really, truly appreciate it.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. So can we also have Zenith Bank's ad? Once again, thank you, Zenith Bank, for sponsoring this session today.
You adjusted it. As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Okay, thank you, Zenith Bank. Please, can we type it into the chat box? Thank you, Zenith Bank. Thank you, Zenith Bank. Can you just type in thank you, Zenith Bank, everybody? Because we can't thank them enough for this session. So thank you very much. All will already be members of YDF. Thank you, John Amos. Thank you.